Throw open that coffin door. Losing does stink as we're watching the SEC on ESPN. All part of a Super Tuesday and what should be a super game this evening. We have an unbeaten in conference Alabama team, 4-0 on a 5-game winning streak. And the Wildcats of Kentucky, they started 1-6. They've won 3 in a row. They have not lost in the new year. And welcome everyone to our Super Tuesday telecast. I'm Carl Ravitch, looking forward to this game and being joined by my good friend Dick Vitale. It's really pretty simple. It's a great game on paper. Is Alabama for real, and is what we saw this weekend from Kentucky a sign of things to come?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Ravi, when you talk about Kentucky, is it a sign of things to come? They were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant against Florida. They shared the basketball. They had 18 assists in that game. They moved the ball. They defended. They communicated. And they got Keon Brooks back, who gives them maturity, a veteran player. I'm telling you one thing. That was the best game that I've seen in them all year. And they better have their A game on tonight because Alabama is legit.
They're legit on the football field. They're legit on the basketball court this year. And while there's no Devontae Smith, there is a Herb Jones. What does he mean to this team?
Well, you know, Herb Jones, Mr. Versatility. He's a guy that can do it all. You talk to the coaches in the league, they say he's the most underrated player nationally. I mean, the guy defends. He's probably the best defensive player in the league. He runs backdoor cuts. He really does a great job in transition. I'm telling you, he does it all. He can rebound the basketball. He is so multi-talented, and he's really unknown, but he's not going to be unknown after we get done talking about him. His scoring ability as well. He's terrific. He was great against Auburn. Bruce Pearl told me, he said, he is special. Hey, he might be the Devontae Smith in basketball.
19 points against that Auburn team, a 3-year captain. He's led them to a terrific start under second-year coach Nate Oates. Well, John Calipari's Kentucky Wildcats. This year, it was a bumpy start, but all of a sudden, they think that Keon Brooks has helped turn things around. Keon Brooks is now in the starting lineup for the Wildcats. We'll get you the starting lineups for both teams in just a sec as we're about set to tip in front of 4,000 at Rupp Arena. And a big showdown between the two top teams, perhaps in the SEC, even though Tennessee is currently a 2 seed in Joe Lunardi's bracketology. The ball contained by the Tide. Alabama's lineup: John Petty, Jaden Shackelford, Herb Jones, Josh Primo, a kid to watch, number 11. He's a freshman. He has been outstanding. And there's Jordan Bruner as well. First shot, 3.
They can shoot the 3 ball. That's the one thing I put up on Twitter earlier today. They're going to have to contain the 3 because they make about 9 per game. They spread the court, they drive, draw, and find open guys for the 3.
Dickie V, they make 9, they shoot about 30 a game. That's Jordan Bruner who knocked down the first one. First shot for Kentucky, that one is short. They will grab the offensive rebounds. Instead, the loose ball ends up in the hands of the guy we've talked about already, Herb Jones.
Well, Kentucky not a good 3-point shooting team. That's one of the areas that they've been up and down on. They've been a little improved over the last couple games.
Petty lost it, a turnover. Keon Brooks gives it to Devin Askew, who's been a lot better lately.
The big thing, Carl, they're doing a lot better is they're sharing the ball. They're getting better spacing right there. Turnover, you got to step to the ball. Sarr's got to make himself active. He's got to utilize his size in this game because they're really concerned. Talked to Nate Oates yesterday. He said size, offensive rebound. It really concerns me in a matchup here with the Cats.
Olivier Sarr, number 30, has been better of late. 16 and 7 during this 3-game streak. 16.7 boards. The Wake Forest transfer.
You're right about that, Carl. The last 3 games, he's been productive. He had 2 games prior to that, didn't score a field goal. I didn't take a shot against North Carolina. Took like 3 shots against Louisville.
Boston from the foul line, kick to Sarr. He's a good shooter. That one's off the iron. Offensive rebound right back to him. And did he lose it out of bounds? They're going to say it is rightly Alabama ball. 12th season as the Kentucky head man, 4 Final Fours, the 2012 national champion. He's gone to, let's see, 31 NCAA tournaments, 4 Final Fours, 13 NCAA tournaments. Took over the head coaching job in 09. Oh, Dickie, it never ends for him. Is he the Nick Saban of college basketball?
Well, I don't know about that yet because Nick Saban's in another world. Anytime you win 7 national championships, but he's certainly up there. Oh, look at this. Breakdown defensively. Simple execution. Follow for the ball. Go to the goal. Nobody rotated over.
Hand out to Petty for the flush.
This is a big game in a way for Kentucky because it's a real test. I know we talk about 3 in a row. They beat Mississippi State, they beat Vanderbilt. They're supposed to beat those clubs. They were very impressive against Florida. But this is a real test on your own floor playing a quality team like Alabama.
Brooks, he's 0 for the start of the game. Askew with the rebound. He puts it up. That one finds the front of the iron and drops in.
You know, Ravi, as you said earlier, he's really improved. He started off really slow, the kid, but he's getting better and better. He seems to be more in control of himself and really understands what a better shot is.
Herb Jones 3. That finds the bottom. Alabama, good start from 3. They're up 8-2.
You know, Herb Jones knocks that down. Nate Oates told me, he said he worked like you couldn't believe to improve his shooting. You know, last year had so many injuries, broken wrist, elbow problem, but he's having a terrific year this year. Gonna watch right here, Mr. Jones. This little handoff. Nobody communicates. Nobody rotates over. And there's Jones with the big trifecta.
100% right, Dickie, too. Calipari consistently has been great, but they do not have the titles that Saban has. Now, can Alabama build a basketball program, as Nate Oates jokingly said today? Look, we're not in the same league, obviously, and we're never going to be Alabama football. But to be around a winning culture like that, that's what they aspire to, obviously. And he's off to a terrific start in year 2.
He really is, Carl. I'll tell you one thing. He's done a great job wherever he's been. High school at Romulus down in Michigan. I'm familiar with that school because I had a guy that played for me at the University of Detroit from there named John Long. And John was a terrific player. But he was there 13 years, goes to Buffalo. He did a tremendous job 3 out of 4 years. Won the championship of his conference, got in the NCAAs with Buffalo.
Nate said today, too, he used to play football. He was a wide receiver, a Wes Welker type, not a Devontae Smith type. How about that take by Shackelford, the lefty, with the right hand?
Well, I did a great job. They spread the court so well. They make it difficult in terms of matchup. They don't have a whole lot of size. Bruner certainly was a big pickup. Going to take this look here. They spread the court. They really get good spacing here. Carl, look at the space right there. Goes right through, protects the ball, seals off the defense. Let's look at the spread. Look at that. They keep the lane wide open for driving ability. Hey, they beat Tennessee. I mean, I know Joe Lunardi's got a number 2 seed, but they want a number 1 thing. They beat Tennessee at Tennessee. So they're legit because Tennessee's very good.
Askew, a lot of dribbling into the corner. He bangs in another one, though. Devin Askew's got a handful of points early on.
I like his potential. I think this kid is getting better and better every time I look at him. He's more confident in his game.
Herb Jones, long 3, no good. Boston with the clear. Askew's got all 6 of the Wildcats' points.
Hey, Carl, he's the guy that's got to break out. Boston's playing nowhere near his potential. Mike White told me that he recruited him for 3 years, and he was so dominant, he loved him. And we have not seen the real Boston yet in a Kentucky uniform.
Brooks in the lane, throws it up, terrible, off the backboard, didn't even get iron, and not a great start for Brooks so far. He's 0 for 4. Easy take, Shackelford lays it up and in, and Alabama's doing what it's done in its last 5 games. They're asserting themselves inside that paint at the rim.
You know, Carl, also what's happening, Kentucky's breaking down. The team defense is not there like I saw against Florida. No help there on the drive at all. You can beat the first guy, but where's people rotating to the ball? The ball's the most dangerous thing on the floor. You got to attack that basketball.
Mintz gets that one to go in off the backboard, then the iron.
He's a veteran player, came out of Creighton. He's been a big plus for them. And they are opening up the court. Trying to get some driving ability, shoot the 3 as well.
Now, Bruner no good. Boston had it, lost it on the ground is Mintz. And did they get the timeout? They did. Kentucky gets the whistle. Alabama off to a really good start. 5 of 7 from the floor, lead it by 4. The Kentucky basketball and baseball family devastated to learn this morning of the passing of 22-year-old Ben Jordan, a two-sport star out of Kentucky who was asked to play on the basketball team last year by John Calipari because they didn't have anybody that could bang with some of their big players, including Nick Richards. Ben Jordan, who grew up a die-hard Kentucky fan, was overjoyed, as Eric Lindsay of the SID told me earlier today, as you saw the fans with a moment of silence before the game, when he went to talk to Ben about playing for the basketball team. He wore number 33, which is why all the team had 33 jerseys on before the game. When he understood the magnitude of playing for the team he grew up rooting for and had posters on the wall, he had joy in his eyes, and the sheer sadness and devastation amongst both the baseball and basketball families was palpable today. Nick Richards tweeting today, "Rest in paradise, Big Ben." Again, a kid that came out of high school, had Tommy John surgery, Dickie, his senior year. He was a big-time 6'9" prospect on that baseball field. Calipari and company didn't have enough bodies, and they said, well, it was a 6'9" kid that plays baseball. They went down, talked to him, and he said, "Are you kidding? I would love to play for the Wildcats."
Well, he loved University of Kentucky big time, Ben did, and he told John Calipari, he says, "Coach, I just want to practice. Don't put me in games." John told me, "Don't put me in games, Coach. I just love being in a uniform and practicing." They loved him on the team, absolutely loved him. He was just a great teammate, very unselfish, and our heart goes out to his family and all his friends and all the people. Just devastating. 22 years of age, just breaks your heart.
It sure does. What has already been a very, very difficult year was made more difficult with the tragic passing of Ben Jordan. Our thoughts to his family and the entire Kentucky Wildcat Big Blue Nation family who mourn the loss of the 22-year-old. Call foul on the floor, and that one is on John Petty, who's the senior who's improved dramatically on defense, and one of those kids that has sort of had some issues off the floor with his own head coach. In fact, he sat him down last year, sat him down again this year. Seems to be in a much better place mentally and could very well play at the next level.
Tell you one thing, he can make shots. If he gets on a streak shooting, he's excellent. Avery Johnson had him there. You know, Avery left him a nice group of players when Avery was put out of that job, and Avery was such a quality guy, but Nate Oates has come in and he's done a great job with these players. In fact, I'm talking to Bruce Pearl and preparing for the game, because you know I was supposed to do a game tonight, Baylor and West Virginia. The last second they put me on this game, so I got on the phone right away with coaches that played against Alabama, and Bruce told me, he said, Nate Oates has done a great job utilizing the talent that was left to him by Avery, because he's got them playing in the right position, doing the right thing.
Dante Allen, number 11, is checked in. He, of course, struggled early this season. He's back to get an offensive foul on Keon Brooks. And for as great as Brooks was this past weekend, a little struggle here early. He picks up another foul. He's just 1 of 4 from the floor. The Pepperdine Waves, are they the next meal for the Gonzaga Bulldogs? Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Mark Few's team has been awesome all year, and they are far and away the #1 team in the country. They're averaging almost 100 a night. 9 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app as well.
They're not going to lose a game. They're not going to lose a game until the tournament starts. Then it's for real. As the three ball, you know they're going to fire the three. As you said, Ravi, so well, they're going to shoot 30 of them a game, and they're hoping to make 9 or 10. And if you make 10, I mean, you have to be a mathematical genius. That's 33%. That's not a high percentage, but if you take enough, that's pretty good.
You know who is a mathematical genius? Nate Oates. That's his whole background. Math teacher, and as you mentioned, Romulus, stats guy. He's all about the numbers. And like Bruce Pearl said, I know you spoke to him, you know what? As long as a 3 is worth more than a 2, we're going to take 3s.
Absolutely. You know, Nate Oates also, when you look at him right there, he coached under Bob Hurley Jr., brought him over to Buffalo. That was the greatest move that happened to him, because once that happened and he went from Romulus to Buffalo to Alabama, the bank account went ding-a-ling-ding. I mean, it's not close to a guy named Saban, but it's going up, up, and up.
You got to put a few more dings on the end of that if you're Saban and.
You know, he deserves a blank check. He deserves a blank check. I mean, they were so unbelievable last night. I know, in fairness to Ohio State, they missed certainly Trey Sermon. I hope he gets healthy for the NFL, but that was a tough break psychologically, him going out in the first play. But it didn't matter because Alabama was clearly the best team in college football, and no doubt about it.
Watching our guys doing all their morning shows, whether it's Get Up or NFL Live, watch Dan Orlovsky talking about it. They're talking about that being the greatest Alabama football team they'd ever seen.
Wow. I'll tell you one thing I love that Kirk Herbstreit said. I think Kirk said it really well. The one thing they loved about the Alabama kids, they weren't about agents. They weren't about worried about where they're drafted. They're all about winning a championship and wearing that jersey that says Alabama with pride and passion. And, man, they demonstrated that big time all year long.
They sure did. Now, another three launched from Alabama. They missed that one. They're 3 of 8, shooting about 37%. And it's the 3-point game. A couple of substitutions in.
Spacing not good right there, Carl, by Kentucky. They had better spacing. That's good spacing right there.
Dante Allen comes up short. They've contested each rebound. They haven't come down with any on the offensive end. And now they're trying to transition to defense. There's a penetration drive from Keon Ellis. He lost it. We're under 12. We'll take a timeout. They're going to get a foul called on Brandon Boston.
Ravi?
Dickinson's been unbelievable. Thanks, guys. See you at half. Hunter Dickinson has been super as a freshman for Michigan. How about those Wolverines?
I'll tell you one thing. Off the charts. The way they blew out, they were up 30-35 at one time in this game. This is Wisconsin. Look at this here. Look at that breakdown. You can put a Mack truck through there. There's no defensive help, no communication. That's like the third layup I've seen right to the goal. Did not see any of that at all against Florida.
Herb Jones off to a fast start. He's got 8 points. Dante Allen looking to get on track. Boston sets up for a 3. No foul call as he ends up on the floor. And Alabama goes the other way.
They've been able to drive the ball right to the goal. Big gaps and seams to get to the basket.
Good defense by Boston. They may get a foul on him. He thought he ripped the ball away.
Take a look right here. Now you're going to see this right to the goal. Look at a little fake. Oh, he left something on the floor. Look at a little fake. A little ball fake for you kids out there. And the drive to the goal. My, you can put a Mack truck. I can go through there, Ravi. I can throw through there and score. Don't laugh at me. I see you laughing.
I ain't laughing at you. You get me up early this morning. Dickie V on the tennis courts before the sun rose. And here he is late at night doing college basketball.
I was on the court at 8 a.m. You asked me how I did. I did well today, man. I had to drop shot work and play against Lauren. She's a terrific player. She beat me the last 11 times, but she didn't beat me today.
That's good. That's a stubbornness of you. You lose 11 straight matches and you're still out there trying to win. Here comes Kentucky. Davion Mintz. He'll launch a 3. That one finds the bottom of the basket.
I tell you, not like the three-point shot. Here's Jones is down.
Herb Jones doubled over in pain, clutching his stomach. Or is it his left wrist? Yeah, or his wrist. It's hard to tell.
Well, he had a broken wrist last year. And he also had an elbow problem. That's what set him back. And he worked so hard to get to where he's at right now. He's the best defensive player, everybody tells me. I haven't seen enough of him, but all the people I talked to, Mike White, I talked to Bruce Pearl, they all said, John Calipari, they said they think he's the best defensive player in the SEC.
Well, let's hope this isn't as serious as perhaps Herb Jones, his body language is indicating. He knows what it feels like to hurt that wrist, as you mentioned last year. And that was a lot of frustration walking off of that floor. Hard to really tell. It didn't look like he hit it hard on the ground. We'll try to get an update from the sports information director there. That's a potentially huge story tonight for Alabama.
But it's a major turnaround. I mean, he's their catalyst. He's their all-around versatile guy who we featured on the top of the show. Also, when you think about Alabama, well, they're playing without the kid Quinterly, who's really been playing well. He's the kid that transferred from out of Villanova, and they said he was really playing well, but he's been under the weather.
Yep. Petty, good kick. Another 3 ball. That one misses. That time it was James Rojas who's into the game for Alabama.
They got to get Petty going, Alabama, especially now with Jones out of the lineup. He's got to start making some shots for them. Nice screen up
Askew's
on top.
wide open, and he knocks down a 2. I mean, the difference between Kentucky and Alabama, Dickie, you know, Kentucky will take a lot of the 2-point shots like that. Alabama, they'll go 3, they'll go to the paint, they'll hope to get free throws.
Look at the little fakes are getting right to the basket.
Shackelford, mile away, can't get it to go. Rojas offensive rebound denied by Jackson. And he poked it loose. Shackelford tries again, buries that one.
Give him a second opportunity. There's nothing but Nyland. On the other end, you saw the ball screen, and he utilized it really well for a young kid. When you watch Askew, he used that ball screen up on top. He got free for that jump shot, and he made it count.
Another one from Mintz. That one's off. Offensive rebound put back up and in. Dante Allen. This is part of that math background, by the way, as Petty steps back for a 3 and buries it. You look at the numbers, Dick. In the paint, meaning at the rim, 43% of their points. 3-point land, 36%. Free throws, 19th. They do not take 2-point shots other than at the rim if they can help it.
And they really get to the rim. When they're talking about in the paint, they're talking driving ability, getting in for those layups, not true post players. Petty made a big 3 for them down the other end, and that was big.
Mintz, his 3 no good, and there's Jackson on the ground. No chance for an offensive rebound, and here comes Alabama. Rojas lost it. Askew, he looked up at Allen, didn't give it to him. Now he does, and Dante hits a 3.
Nothing like a guy that can shoot the basketball. He finally got a chance to play. He was a high school hero in the state of Kentucky, but he got no PT. He got no playing time. Finally, the fans were all screaming after they lost to Louisville. You got to get him on the court. Well, they had a scrimmage. They went to play Transylvania just to get him some playing time. He told me, Calipari said we went to that game just to get some playing time. He went in that game, didn't do anything in the first half. Second half, he knocked down 5 threes, and all of a sudden he puts him in a lineup, and he goes for 7 threes in his first game against Mississippi State.
Who would have thought a game against Transylvania would get Dante Allen going? We got a good one here at Rupp. So before the Florida game, and in light of what was going on in the nation's capital, the Kentucky Wildcats all decided to kneel before that Florida game. They asked their head coach, John Calipari, to do the same, and said this is in no disrespect to our military or our law enforcement. We have a handful of players that have family members who are involved with the police or other frontline workers, that this was just them having a voice and responding to what they were seeing. And really ultimately after that, and in light of that, said it's time to get back to basketball. It was not met with universal approval even in their own state. The school's president and the athletic director both came out in support of the move of the players and the fact that they should have an ability to exercise their opinions and their freedom of speech, and that's what they did that day against Florida.
You know, the First Amendment, the players certainly, they protested in a very peaceful manner. They were joined by the coaching staff, and they wanted to let their voices be heard. They're all about the systemic, when you think about the injustices that have been existing for years and what took place at the Capitol. They did it in a very peaceful manner, and really, that is their certainly right, according to our First Amendment.
Trying to get the latest on Herb Jones, who left the game with what appeared to be a left wrist injury. Had surgery on that wrist last year. He was actually only out for a couple of weeks. They inserted a screw in it. He has been the best player in the conference. Was off to a great start tonight with 8 points. And we are efforting to find out exactly what that injury is once Alabama finds out.
And it's a rarity because he's a major two-way player. They got to get, when I look at Kentucky right now with the matchups that are on the floor, they got to get Sarr involved. I mean, he has not been involved offensively at all. I know he's coming off 3 really quality games, but the players got to get him some touches because this kid's got offensive ability and skills in terms of the game of basketball. And he's got to want the ball a little bit more. He's got to be more active and demand the basketball. He's a 7-footer out there, Olivier.
Shackelford back to Askew all the way down to the paint, and now he settles for a 3, and that one is short. There's Sarr with a rebound.
Sarr's got to be able to go down now inside. He's going to post a little bit on the interior. Screen, roll to the goal. Find him a little bit. There he is. He's in the box. Give him the ball. He was wide open down there.
Brooks on the baseline. That floater around and out. Offensive board. He has it. Brooks goes up. That one was blocked underneath, and we are going to get a foul against Brooks in Kentucky. Tough going for Keon Brooks early tonight.
Yeah, he really was scrapping and clawing on the glass there. Worked really hard, but he gets back and gets called for a foul. Watch him work on the glass here. I mean, he's really second effort, keeping the ball alive, battling, and then there's the foul right there. I mean, if you're Kentucky right now, you got to go on a little run here, especially with Jones out of the lineup. You got to really make them pay and take advantage of the fact that he's not on the floor. He's not only a good offensive player, he's their best defensive player.
Petty plays a 2-man game, and it works. It's Alex Reese, the senior out of Pelham, Alabama, who knocks down a 3, and it's a 6-point game. Back the other way, Mintz, high arcer, no good. Here comes Bama.
See, not sharing the ball like they did against Florida. One pass, shot goes up. Good defense right there, made him back up.
Backed up to a 3, and Reese out of nowhere off the weak side flushes it in.
Nice play by Reese. I'll tell you, Reese off the bench, been productive, Mr. Ravage. He's been very productive.
He sure has. Alabama, even without Herb Jones, leads by 8 with 5:27 to play in the first. You mentioned it off the bench, Dickie. This is how you go follow a shot up.
Yeah, that was after he made a big 3, too. So he said, look, I got a little versatility. Mr. Oates, don't worry about Herb's not there. I'm going to step in and help you, coach. Don't worry about a thing. I'll be your Najee Harris. I'll be your Mac Jones. I'll take care of you like those guys take care of Mr. Saban.
3 offensive rebounds. And again, if you're just joining us, Herb Jones went into the locker room clutching his left wrist. Superstar player for Alabama. There's a pass down low and a foul on the floor on Reese. So that nice dunk by Isaiah Jackson will be denied. This was the injury, happened a few minutes ago. Herbert Jones driving. It's that left wrist, and again, right there perhaps came down and affected it. He last year suffered a small break in that left wrist, and you can just tell, and you just sort of read his body language, go into his head in frustration, almost as if he knew something already prior to going into the locker room. You hope that's not the case. But you always, Dickie, defer to the athlete. You kind of can read them, can't you?
Absolutely. He didn't look real good when he went down. And let me just share this right now. 5 minutes to go here in a half. These are 5 big minutes right now for Kentucky. You got to go on a little spurt. You can't allow Alabama to go on a spurt and go in there really feeling super in that locker room at halftime.
Well, here's Petty. He buries a 3 for John Petty. And the lead grows 33-22. They're up 11.
He can go on a run with that trifecta. He's a capable guy knocking down 5 in a row. I mean, he's very streaky, but he can make that 3.
Juwan Gary into the game, number 4. Mintz into the paint, throws it up. That one no good. He follows it up. That's short. Another chance, and Jackson couldn't get it to go.
And that was the big concern. I didn't know it's can you offensive rebound with that.
Jackson picks up another block. He's terrific at that. Chance for Devin Askew. Wide open 3. Short.
Good ball moving right there. Backing the ball out, trying to get a better shot.
Boston runner, tough shot. He'll get fouled. So Boston will go to the line. Brandon Boston, an 81% free throw shooter, will get a chance for 2. Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Before that Pepperdine Gonzaga men's game, women's showcase, Oregon and Arizona. They square off in the desert. This is all part of the We Back Pat. Harry McDonald, one of the top players in the country, leading number 11 Arizona against number 10 Oregon. That's at the McHale Center, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. ESPN and the ESPN app.
I'm going to tell you the 2 guys that got to really step it up for Kentucky and play to their potential. We have not seen them anywhere near to what they came in with their reputation, and that's Clarke and that's Boston. Clarke's out with the ankle injury, but those 2 guys got to step it up. John Calipari told me things changed for the team when he had sent Cameron Fletcher home after he was very upset about kids moaning and groaning about playing time. That's just not the way of life in Kentucky. You know when you come here, he said, basically, you're going to have competition. And nobody wants to win more than Mr. Calipari. So if you prove in practice you can earn your playing time, you're going to play. He said he then went to 2 other players. And I'll let you people decide who the 2 are. I have an idea who they are. He told the 2 of them. He said, look, you're going to be the next one. I'm going to send both of you home and be so moaning about why you're coming out of the games and why you're not. Make shots, because the game is very simple. We need guys to make shots. And he got his word across, and he took command. And you got to do that as a coach. You got to be in charge. You're not going to be a player playing for Alabama football and say, I'm not getting enough playing time, Mr. Saban. Not going to work.
Cal talks all about culture, work, sacrifice, be a great teammate. Petty stuck around. John the senior's got 10. And the culture right now for the Crimson Tide is rolling.
You're losing it. What do you think, Coach Vitale?
I say amen to that. No question about it. Set you right on target. He's got to want the ball. He's 0 for 2. The game against Carolina, he goes 0 for like 1. He's 0 for 3 against Louisville. He's got to want the ball. This is a kid that had about 30 and 17 against Notre Dame last year, 25-12 against Duke. Hey, you mentioned the 7 threes, guys. They made 7 threes so far, Alabama, and 5 different guys have each made at least 1 3. I mean, unbelievable. And turnovers, they right now have only 2 turnovers. Kentucky has 7. Kentucky looks out of sync offensively. Credit some of that to certainly the defense of Alabama.
It's been a rough start for Keon Brooks. He's not on the floor right now. He's 1 for 6. Davion Mintz is 2 for 8. There's a turnover.
Yeah, that's not an apple turnover, and I love apple turnovers, Carl. I love apple turnovers. You don't buy me any. And another deuce, apple turnover. Right there, the apple turnover turns to a beautiful tiramisu right down there for a basket.
I like what we did there with tiramisu, sort of triple related. That's now double digits for both Petty and the 3-point shot for Shackelford drops. He's been outstanding. They've taken 23s. They've made 8 of them. There's a foul, and we'll go to the free throw line.
Oh, wow. Hey, you look great in that car, Ravi. I got Mr. Greenberger look great in there. Kevin Connors, all those guys. I'll tell you this. BMW, look at that beautiful white car. We had a Mercedes. We raffled those off. We got rid of the tickets quickly. Only 1,500 chances available on this car, and we'll sell out quickly. $100 per chance to help kids battling cancer. All you got to do to get one, just go to dickvitale.com. dickvitale.com and get your raffle ticket. Hey, I know those guys. Who are those guys? How did they get there, Ravi? How did they get there?
Oh, man, I'll tell you one thing. I don't have seats that good. I don't know how we got those seats either.
Oh, wow. I got my seats at the Rays games like that, too. Next year we'll be live. I don't see no Snell, no Morton. Oh, wow. Don't get me going about that. Don't get me going, Ravi.
I won't get you going on that. I will not, because I know that's a sensitive subject. There's some defense. See if Askew can turn it into offense or slow it down a little bit, because it was a 1-on-2. Down by 13. Last couple of minutes really big here in this game. Boston
They're going to find Allen. He could shoot it. He could shoot it. They got to get him the rock, baby. Mike Morgan sent me a text message, our colleague. He did a game against Mississippi State. He said, up until that time, he played hardly at all in his career. Made 7 threes. They don't win the game at Mississippi State unless he plays in that game. There is no substitute for guys that can make shots.
Petty. Oh, John Petty's on fire. He's got 13.
What I tell you, he can be a guy that get 5 in a row. He's got a great stroke. Structure like Greenberg did when he played for Fairleigh Dickinson University.
And still has that stroke.
Oh, look at this here. They don't know how to get the ball in the post. Look how late that was, that entry.
Bad pass. You can't give Petty, you can't give Shackelford, you can't give Bruner any air out there, or they will light you up for three.
Look how they spread the court out. They spread that court out, want to beat you one-on-one. That was not a good shot right there. Bad shot.
Boston driving. Boy, he left himself with a tough shot. The follow-up from Brooks.
Brooks in the right place. We got to remember to give Keon Brooks a little break here. The kid's hardly practiced at all. He had the big game against Florida. He's getting into his basketball rhythm. It's going to take him a while. Got to make that layup.
Missed by Gary. And that's a travel. Dante Allen picked up his dribble and walked with it.
Watch Kentucky right here. Get over on the offensive boards. That was a big concern of Nate Oates before the game. There's Mr. Allen, first of all, with a three. He danced a three. I tell you what, this guy can stroke it nothing but nylon. Mr. Petty, oh baby. He says, I want to be the big man on campus. I want to go back to Tuscaloosa because it's all going to be about Harris and Jones and Smith. But what about me, Mr. Petty?
See his numbers there, preseason first team All-SEC. Did get an update, by the way, from the SID as that three is launched and nailed. It's Bruner, his second of the night. On Herb Jones, the team has actually been more effective offensively with him out. The team has told us that he is questionable to return with a left wrist injury. They were no more specific than that.
Tell you one thing, they're 14 right now, and they're shooting wide open threes. The defense of Kentucky has been very suspicious. They haven't guarded the drive to the goal. They haven't guarded the three-point.
And that's a tough shot. They're forcing him into tough shots. The offensive rebound was grabbed, and Sarr is going to go to the free throw line. Very easy to see it, though. Alabama playing one-on-one, and then they'll either drive and kick for a three or take it all the way to the hoop. And their defense, as you mentioned, this season, their defense, Dick, the numbers have been great. Second best in the SEC in field goal percentage. They're off the opponent's three-point field goal. They've been great at defending that as well.
Well, you know, they defend really well at 37% to holding people shooting the three, and 27% for the three rather than 37% overall. So really doing a great job defensively in that area, and they don't have great size. And key for that has been the play of Jones. They got a real test, though, Carl, against Auburn, because Auburn's got the sensational kid just got eligible, Sharif Cooper, in his opening game. 26 points, like 9 assists, and about 5 turnovers, but they tell me he is the real deal.
And Jimmy Dykes and I'll get a chance to see him on Saturday as Auburn takes on Kentucky in Auburn.
Tell you, another kid that doesn't get any publicity deserves some. He's out with an injury right now. Cameron Thomas down there at LSU. He's the leading scorer in the conference, and this kid's a diaper dandy, and really, he's a special scorer. One of the radio people out there in Louisiana, down there in that area there, told me all about him, Jordy Collada. He said to me, this kid is a scoring machine, and he's been right on target because he's been scoring like crazy. Have you seen him at all, Carl?
Oh, yeah. You know, he's that guy. I mean, he stands out offensively and is not afraid to take a shot down the stretch. He's put up some gaudy numbers. His shot release is incredibly quick. It's in rhythm. He's a smooth scorer. LSU's had a few of them in their day. He may be the next in line.
They got a talented basketball team. They really do. Even though I still think Tennessee, when it's all said and done, could be the best in the conference. Alabama may have a comment about that because Alabama beat them down there in Knoxville.
Yep. Final shot, 5 to go in the first half. Bad pass. It's almost like, Dick, they get inside the three-point line and things get a little discombobulated.
You know, they don't have a big guy inside they can dump off to. Somebody can finish the play right around the basket. But they've gotten the most out of their people. Lost a couple of games early this year, but really have done well because they're on a 5-game list. They have not won here. They have not won here for the last 8 games that were up. In fact, Kentucky's won 12 of the last 13 meetings versus Bama.
Dickie V, since the Herb Jones injury, they end the half on a 19-8 run, 25-15 since he left the game. It's a big story for Alabama long term, but short term, they've been outstanding. Get 42 points at the half against a Kentucky team perhaps we all thought prematurely had returned to form. We'll see you after the break. Here's Kevin Connors and company. Welcome back to Super Tuesday. It's presented by Progressive. And Alabama off to a flying start in the first half, leading 42-30. Pretty easy to see their offensive execution. Spread the floor, drive, kick for a three, make a layup. We saw the offense last night on the football field. The gridiron, your guy Devontae Smith. What a first half.
Oh my, I can't believe it. Hey, come on, Jets, you got to draft him. Keep Darnold and draft this guy. Darnold will be a real solid player. Come on, make my guy Bob Wischusen happy. Get Mr. Smith there. He'll be electric down there. I know you don't draft wide receivers up that high, but he's not a normal wide receiver.
So he had 18 in the first half. Tonight, John Petty had 13 in the first half, Dickie V. How do they stop them in spite of the fact that Herb Jones, unlikely to return, has been on the floor, off the floor? Alabama's gotten points from all different guys. Shackelford's got 10, Petty's got 13, Jones has 8, Bruner's got 6. Very balanced attack.
They got 5 guys that have made threes, Carl. Bottom line is, I put it up on Twitter earlier today, if they're going to beat them. If Kentucky's going to win this game, they got to contain the 3-ball. They're not contained. They made 10 out of 22. They got 10 in the bank already. I mean, that's unbelievable. On the other side, Kentucky's got 10 turnovers. The last time they had that many turnovers at a half, they lost to Georgia Tech. They had 12 at the half against Josh Pastner's club that really improved after a slow start.
So Herb Jones left, 10:57 to go. Last year, left wrist surgery, missed a handful of weeks. Left wrist injury tonight, and other than the injury and unlikely to return, that's all we have. Petty 13, Kentucky was 2 of their last 14, and the 3-point shooting was a world of difference.
They're going to get Sarr involved. See, he had great post position, but look where they threw the ball to him. Look what he threw. He had his back to the basket, was in the hole, and he took it upon himself. He said, I'm going to go right to the goal and score. Wow, I can't believe that. I mean, get my guy Farnham and get my guy Greenberg. They'll get the ball to him in the post.
And that's too easy, isn't it, right there on the other end for Jordan Bruner. The interior defense wasn't good.
Tell you one thing, has he got a little resume? He's got a Yale degree. I can't spell Yale, I'm so dumb. Are you kidding me? A Yale degree, and now he's playing at Bama. They just told me how he got him. He recruited a kid at Buffalo who played on an AAU team that he played on. A word got out that he's going to be a graduate guy. He said he just didn't waste time. He made sure he got in contact. What a great addition he's been.
He has been great. They're deep and they are mature. It's a nice combination to have for sure. So the SEC standings look like this. Florida is now 3-2. They were behind Ole Miss for a lot of their game tonight. They rallied, win 72-63, a 14-0 run to end it. LSU and Cam Thomas, who we talked about, has been great. There's a whole bunch of teams. Joe Leonard has got 6 currently projected in the tournament, and say if Kentucky wins the conference regular season, they would be the 7th team. They ain't going to win any conference if they keep playing the way they are tonight.
Well, then look at the lane. It's wide open. The guy beats you one-on-one, and nobody converges on the ball. I don't understand that. I know John Calipari teaches all the principles involved as team defense. Right to the goal. Is that Shackelford, I believe, right there in that drive. I'm in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. My guy Ravi's up there in Connecticut. There goes the drive down the lane. Look at this. Look at this. You shouldn't get to the basket that easily. Come on now. I can hear my guys Greenberg and my guy Connors and Farnham screaming and yelling. What are they doing? Opening up that lane. I'm all fired up, Carl.
Their advantage is their size. They got an 0-for-1 effort in the first half from Jackson, 0-for-2 from Sarr. The 2 big guys took 3 shots. Keon Brooks penetrates and he gets fouled. They're down by 16 with 18-13 to play.
You know, the key is you got to have guards that can enter the ball. One of the lost arts in basketball, as John frustrated there on the bench, is the ability to get the ball to the post. The best I've seen, Carl, in my 42 years at ESPN, I've said this often, was at Syracuse with Pearl Washington. The Pearl may rest up in peace, lost his life too early to cancer. Bottom line is he dropped that ball like you couldn't believe. Those dimes he would give up were incredible. But that's a lost art. Everyone has to pounce the ball, pounce it, pounce it, pounce it. Got to share the ball, got to move the ball. There's nothing fancy about the game of basketball. Ball movement, player movement, and you get good shots. You get good shots, you win.
Mid-80s in the Carrier Dome. When I was at Ithaca, where Kevin Connors went, we went to a Syracuse game. Not Kevin and I, but I went. And Pearl hit a half-court shot against BC. We were sitting, 7 miles from the court. The place went bananas.
Offensive rebound should not happen here with the size Kentucky has. I like the poise that they play with. They did not get rattled after they lost their star to the injury. Look at this, right
Petty
to the lane.
all the way, easy layup as he blows by Brooks. So many shots at the rim for Alabama.
No team defense, Carl. Not really playing, letting the ball. Guys beat them off the bounce, not staying in front of the ball. Come on now. Stay in front of your man. You can't let them make that turn.
Sarr was doing his best on that low block to get the ball. They didn't get it to him, and now they get it to him 30 feet from the basket.
Question is, when are we going to see the real Kentucky? Was it the real Kentucky I saw at the Florida game? The real Kentucky we're watching now? Because to me, it's really absolutely taken apart right here. Taken apart.
And a shot clock violation. Mintz dribbled all the way across. Calipari's bringing in a handful of new bodies to try to turn the tide here.
One kid that's got to play now. They need
Toppin and Jackson all coming in.
They got to play Carl. They got to play the kid Allen. They got to play him and get some threes. They got to keep him on that floor. They got to find him some looks because he can get you back in the game with that three-point shot. After he had the big game against Mississippi State, Mike Morgan told me in a message, he said, you know what he did? He said, what are you going to do now to celebrate and go back to Lexington? I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to shoot. He's coming out of the man-to-man. He's going to zone to try and take away the drives. Oh, that's where you want to slide right to the foul line area.
Petty contested offensive rebound, Alabama. Alabama's 8th offensive rebound, another 3, no good. That time Toppin goes up and he holds on to it.
They're making like Auburn did in that great run when they kept shooting threes. Nice fake.
Mintz and Jackson, 2-man game, too many missed layups. There's Brooks with a follow.
Yeah, Brooks up on the offensive glass.
Turnover.
They got to get a little spurt going. They got to get a spurt going. Maybe to change the lineup, give them a little lift, get some momentum. And I'm going to tell you, the one team that suffers more than almost anybody in the game of basketball because of the pandemic and not allowing fans in, Kentucky. 20,000 unbelievable passionate fans usually gives the key team such a big lift. You can also factor out to Duke and Kansas as well. Programs like that where they have such unbelievable fan support. Right now you don't get that same electricity, Carl.
Now Auburn big for that, no question about it. Dickie, Saturday, you got that one? Baylor, Texas Tech, 4 Eastern time.
I hope so, because I had 3 other Baylor games. 2 went down to COVID, 1 went down to technical reasons. I mean, he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Every time I call him up and I ask him about his team, we talk. I'm ready to do the game the next day. The phone rings. No game. I'm 0 for 3 so far with Baylor. They got the best defensive team, Carl. I would love to see the matchup, them and Gonzaga. Great offense with great defense.
Be great. All right, Brooks working hard on the baseline. He gets a tough shot to go. Looks for the foul, won't get it. Down to 12.
Yeah, he's trying to do his job as a leader. Trying to give the team a little lift. They're sitting in that zone. Big gaps in that zone.
Yep, Bruner misses. They hit a lot in the first half. Nice pick, and oh, look out, John Petty.
Petty can rise, man. He has stepped up big time with Herb Jones out of the lineup.
Big turnaround. Kentucky had the ball. Rojas picked it, gave it to Petty for the flush. There's a foul on 33. They had it to 12. It's now 14. You had it for a second, and then it's Petty on the back end of this steal here. And a flush. Don Petty, 17. Big time roll tide, up by 14. The SEC Network now focused on basketball, and hey, we got a good one highlighted by all day basketball. Highlighted by this matchup, it is Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Tennessee ranked 10th in the country. Rick Barnes got another terrific team. He's got some super freshmen. Jaden Springer is a beast, and there's of course Yves Pons on the defensive end. John Fulkerson. Tennessee and Vanderbilt Everything else, you can also watch it on the ESPN app. So Joel Lunardi's got him currently projected as a 2 seed, and the rest of the SEC teams, obviously, with time to play and much movement to go. Look, if Alabama can get Herb Jones back, Dickie, this is a legitimate team with seniors and freshmen. They're playing tonight without Jones in the second half and Javon Quinterly all night long.
I think LSU's better than where they are right now. I think they can move up. Missouri's been a real surprise. Quanzo Martin, who's, by the way, a cancer survivor, former platoon great, has done a great job. He got a really tough break early in his career there at Missouri, losing the Porter brothers. I mean, the Porter brothers are special players, especially the guy, Michael, is really special. But, yeah, you know, you're looking at some quality basketball. There's no doubt about it. I mean, no heavyweights, but good teams.
Good interior pass. We're going to get a charge, though, called against Jackson. He's on the ground, and he may be banged up a little bit as well.
He was up in the air, flying in the air. Very difficult when you're up there, man. He's a very active rebounder. He's got great athletic ability. He's an elite athlete. But see, there he is up in the air, and he's just right there. No doubt about charging.
Lands hard on his own elbow, and his body clears out, and then right there.
Wow. He plays hard, though. He really plays hard. He gives his best all the time. You know, I look at some of the young kids, you know, and I'm just thinking about this, Carl. You look at some of the young kids like the Clarks and like the Bostons. That Clarke's out, but the youngest, they got to be patient. If you remember Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, there's another 3 ball. He didn't get a chance in terms of until like after 15 games, 13 of them he came off the bench, and then he became a star, and now he's a star in the NBA. I'll give you another one. Quickly, Emmanuel Quickly. It didn't happen overnight for him. He had to wait, and he eventually got him. Some of these kids want instant gratification. If they don't get it, they get their ears filled from AAU coaches, from all their buddies saying, oh, why not transfer? Get out of here. I mean, it's really ridiculous.
Keon Brooks loses it again, and that's going to be a turnover. On the other end, that was Primo. He hadn't done much tonight. Joshua Primo, the outstanding freshman who reclassified. He's out of Toronto, Canada, knocked down that 3. He had 22 against Auburn. That's the point of this team, how deep they are.
He played really well against Auburn. In fact, Bruce Pearl told me he was a difference maker. And if he gets going now, that's another big plus for them. I mean, here they are up 17, and Jones not on the floor. I mean, that tells you, no Quinterly as well. That tells you a little bit about this team. I mean, they're going to bring some excitement down there to Tuscaloosa.
He missed that one, and the rebound to Kentucky. They're going to get a foul on Primo. Look, we got 14 minutes to go, Dick, and a lot can happen. But you tell me, college basketball, bigger picture, Alabama's win here tonight, or the way they're playing, or Michigan's stomping of Wisconsin tonight? Bigger story.
Michigan, because they were up 35. I mean, they won by like 20-some, but that story is amazing because they're 11-0, Carl. They haven't lost a game. And Juwan Howard, this is only the beginning. He's got the #1 recruiting class coming in America. So things are really booming big down here for the Maize and Blue in basketball.
Sarr, baseline, working in. There you go, an easy layup. That time he got Reese on him. May have hooked him, but he's able to get the ball to go.
Would you see good footwork down there in that post? They got to give him more entries down in the post. He's a skilled player. I mean, guys come over, good help right there.
Rojas missed a tough one. Tough place to catch the ball. He was underneath the basket.
Got to get Sarr some looks down here. Come on, get him some looks.
Instead, it's Brooks with the left. Boy, he couldn't get it up over that rim. They're getting shots in the paint.
A little sloppy right there. Kentucky needs a little run right here, Carl. They need a little spurt.
They do. So let's go back to it. Herbert Jones driving here, and against Toppin, he came down on that left hand to his left wrist, which of course last year he had surgery on, and look at him, he's like, this is bad. And he walked off the court, went straight to the locker room. The officials for Alabama have said, obviously, left wrist injury, unlikely to return. Haven't seen him anywhere on the bench or even in the bench area. And that could be the biggest story in college basketball tonight.
Yeah, especially in the SEC. I mean, a lot of people will tell you right now, he'd be, if you vote him now, so early in the year, certainly a leading player of the year candidate. He's versatile because he's a great defensive player as well as an offensive player. Reese has given him some good minutes off the bench. He's talking to the referee. He said, come on, he's good.
He said, I got a foul and I got elbowed in the neck.
Yeah. I don't understand it. He's still out there petitioning.
See, Sarr's got that
Oh,
left
yeah, I see
elbow
what he's
up high.
talking about.
Sure.
I see what he's talking about, Carl.
4,000 Kentucky fans. You can hear them in the background starting to get a little amped up based on the way this Kentucky team is playing. A big disappointment so far given the way they played Saturday. Shackelford will go to the free throw line. He went right by Jacob Toppin.
I think the big disappointment here with them is obviously turning the ball over, and that's been a story of them early in the year. But the second factor is their team defense. They're really allowing such easy open looks from the three and easy open looks for layups. They're spreading the court and they're beating him one-on-one. You got to have some pride in yourself defensively and playing that guy. You got to drive him, you got to beat him, you got to stay in front of him. And they're getting beat constantly.
Last couple years, you had Maxey and quickly Nick Richards, the ability to come from behind. A couple years ago, Tyler Hero. Dante Allen's going to have to play that role tonight. Coming up next, SVP, college basketball, Blue Bloods in the top 25 in action. All the highlights from the hardwood. Again, recap of Michigan's huge win. Juwan Howard's got him playing great. NBA new COVID protocols. Woj will dive into those, and a former Eagle on the Peterson firing, the head coach, a couple years, 3 years after winning a Super Bowl out in Philadelphia.
Yeah, not a surprise. I thought what he did in that game was unbelievable when he absolutely went to the game that was so crucial to the conference situation for a playoff and bringing in a quarterback that hadn't played at all for the last quarter. I think that caught a lot of heat. I know his teammates, his players rather, were very upset about that as well. It was a bad, bad move, and certainly Giant fans didn't like it at all.
You think that's why he got fired? I was really surprised.
I'm not saying that was the reason per se. I think he got fired basically because I think they wanted to get rid of a coach or not hire a certain coach, what I read. But the bottom line is, I don't know about you. You play to win. You play to win. You play your best players in that situation. I mean, it was a crucial situation. It was a playoff spot. You don't go there and go to the bench like that. His team, the players were upset about it. I mean, when he pulled out Hurts in that game. Don't get me started now. You want to talk football? I'm going to tell you this. Somebody better draft that kid Mac Jones high, because I see a young version, and I'm saying young, a young version of a Tom Brady. The guy is so accurate, it's unreal. Talking about all these other quarterbacks, Mac Jones is going to be a star. Trust me.
Mac Jones was way better than Tom Brady was in college.
You're right about that. You're right about that. Oh, transition about time.
And a foul and a basket for Toppin.
Toppin runs the court real well. It's a bonus kind of year for him. They thought he'd be sitting out this year, and he's going to get better and better. There's no doubt about it. You all know about his brother. Now the next for a big star. Then he's going to the goal. Guy's strong, very athletic, and that's what they need more of, Kentucky. They're going to get out and transition. Run, baby, run. His brother was something else down there in Dayton.
Oh, my goodness.
In fact, my latest book I wrote, The Lost Season, is all basically about the fact that we never got a chance during the tournament last year to see a team like Dayton play, for example. They could have been a major factor in the postseason. They were that legit. They had 2 losses, Carl, all year. Both were in overtime. And what was the Kansas? Are you kidding me? They were legit, Dayton.
Petty, Primo has it in the corner. He gives up the 3 to take it into the paint. Picks up his dribble. Crowd wanted a traveling call. 11 points, 12:20 to go.
The one thing they do well, those teachers, triple prep position, steer to the goal. Man, do they drive to the basket.
Shackelford has a chance for his own 3-point play.
I'll take a look right here. We're going to watch him right here. Driving to the goal, wide open lane, protects the ball, lays it on the glass. How many of those we've seen, Carl? How many layups have we seen?
We're getting close to 10. Jackson was very late. He wasn't going to block it with the left hand. But I tell you, Dickie, the Kentucky defenders have not been able to stay in front of the Alabama offensive drivers.
Thank you, my friend, because that is the whole analysis. See, I knew you're more than a play-by-play guy. You're a great analyst. You were my job, too, but you're not getting my check, baby.
It's just not a wheelbarrow big enough for me to take your check, deposit in the bank.
Struggle. Every offensive.
Bruno looks like he twisted an ankle. He's hobbling out there. You see him going underneath the basket. And Alabama will come away with it. Number 2, Bruner, is hobbling. They should have called timeout. They don't. They get the shot off. And again, you see Bruner still in the paint.
Wow, they could afford to lose the big guy. They have no size to play him.
There's the whistle, finally. He cannot put any pressure on that right foot of his.
Fifth-year player, has got his degree already from Yale University, one of the great academic schools in the nation.
They keep saying, should we lift you up? And he keeps saying, no, it's not going to help.
It's interesting watching last night, hobbling, the kid Waddle come on a court, fought in a football field and play.
He ended up hobbling. You'll take a look at Bruner right there. He twisted it, perhaps got tied up with Sarr. So they'll tend to him. We're under 12. It's a 14-point lead for Alabama. We'll take a break with the SEC on ESPN. It comes to raising money to help kids with cancer. It is inspiring and unbelievable.
I just try to give back because everybody's been so good to me through my life.
So Bruner is in the locker room. They actually looked at his knee when he was on the bench. There's another Kentucky turnover. And Shackelford with the right. There's a follow and a pin up against the backboard. The possession arrow is Alabama's.
I mean, he's their one big player, and he can make threes. He's going to go to the locker room. So you got in the locker room Jones, and you got Bruner. I mean, those are 2 valuable players, and Quinerly's not here either. Nate Oates' club has come to play. No matter who's played, they're playing hard, and they're playing well. And they're doing exactly what their game plan is. Spread the court, drive it, kick it out for threes. If it's not there, you take it to the goal, take it to the rim, and score. And they're doing exactly that, and they're defending and playing hard. I'm impressed with Nate Oates. I'm telling you that. He worked hard to get where he's at. He was 13 years at Romulus. Romulus has had some great players. Years ago, Terry Mills played at Michigan, Grant Long. My guy, BB John Long, who was a terrific player, played in the NBA for about 14 years.
Called the goaltend, Dickey, down the other end. That's why Alabama went from 57 to 59. You heard the crowd boo. Kentucky down 16. To your point, Alabama now currently without 3 starters. Quinerly, Herb Jones, who's got a hand injury, maybe a finger as opposed to that wrist. And now we got Bruner in the locker room having his right knee looked at.
They're doing a good job, though, defensively getting back in transition, Alabama, not allowing Kentucky to get layups in transition.
To your point, there's no Clarke tonight. He's still in that boot dealing with that ankle, but Boston has 1 point. He is 0 for 2 from the floor.
So talented, came in with such a big-time reputation. I think basically he's thinking too much and not just playing.
He can't escape the crazy.
You don't consume me! I consume you!
Another disjointed trip down for Kentucky. They had to fire up a long 3 at the buzzer, and fortunate to have that ball go off Alabama.
You know, sport can be very humbling. You know, we're on cloud 9 after the Florida game. I mean, we're there, we're coming back, we're on a roll, and then here today at home, struggling big time.
Mintz misses. How many shots have they missed in the paint? Kentucky's 14 for 42 tonight, shooting 33% overall. There's going to be a foul on the floor.
I wonder if the Alabama team winning here, right? Think about this, Carl. They haven't won here since 2006, right? They win here. Will they get the reception back home that the football team got? I don't think so.
Did you see the streets of Tuscaloosa last night?
I saw that. Scared me a little bit when you think about that pandemic and you think about, you know, the fact that no masks and all that. You're just scared as heck.
Yep.
Especially at my age, you got to be scared. You know, finally got my vaccine, so I'm happy about that.
We're all happy that you were able to get that. Foul on Brooks. Petty into the paint. Great move.
Fake.
That shot sent out by Brooks.
Good defensive effort. Was a great fake though.
Shackelford can't get it to go. Look at the battle there from Keon Ellis.
Hey, they play hard. The one thing right now, Alabama kids are playing hard. Maybe that football culture's rubbed off on them. In fact, Nate Oates told me last year he spent lots of time over at practice. Coach Saban was terrific to him. This year, because of the pandemic, not as much. But he said really he went there to reap in and learn as much as he can about the discipline and the work ethic and the pride that those kids have.
Brooks down low, Toppin, no good. Another shot missed inside the paint for Kentucky.
Spread the court out, there they are, 15, 17 feet apart, open up the lane, we'll drive down the lane, there they go. Oh.
How often do you see it twice in the span of about 2 minutes? The ball hit pinned in between the rim and the backboard. Alabama up 16, 9:05 to go. And if they get a win tonight, it'll be their 6th straight, which will be the longest since 14-15. They'll be 5-0 in conference play. And it'll be their first win, as you mentioned, at Rupp since 06. They've also beaten Tennessee. So you will have beaten Florida, beaten Tennessee, beaten Kentucky, and beaten Auburn.
That's pretty good right there. There's no doubt about that. That's a great way to start. Last year they, you know, struggled, had a lot of injuries. Jones was out a while. 16-15, getting new coach there and all that, but they've turned it around now. Got some good recruits they've brought in.
Shackelford, boy, they got a nice play down there, and it's up and in. Juwan Gary, the benefactor of that. They penetrate the paint, and they make good passes interior.
And they really know how to look for one another. They know where people are on the floor. They have good awareness.
Calipari, you can see him halfway out on that court, imploring his defense to get a stop. Petty. Did he travel? He did.
He got that one streak going, boy. That was big for them, I'll tell you that. Gave him a big lift. I want to give a little shout out to the SIDs again, because in this COVID-19 situation where we're not at the arena, these guys have communicated really well. Aaron Jordan at Alabama, Eric Lindsay, who does a fantastic job at Kentucky. I mean, they are such valuable people. I've said that often and more than ever this year.
Agreed 100%. There's Jackson, and he went to pass it instead of going up to dunk it. Looked like he thought about going up for a layup, if not a dunk. Instead, he passed it, and it's another turnover. They've doubled them up in that category. 17 for Kentucky, only 8 for Bama. Tide is rolling. Welcome back, everyone. We take a look at the Capital One rewarding performance this evening, and we're going to give it out to Jaden Shackelford. He's a left-hander. He has taken more threes, 69 this season, than anybody else on the team. And we're showing you all the stuff he did in the paint tonight, Dickie B.
Yeah, he's a good player, man. He knows how to get to the lane. He drives, great speed and quickness, good first step. Capital One will love him, baby. They love him. What's in your wallet? What's in your wallet, Carl? Come on.
Auditioning for Samuel Jackson's role.
Oh, wow. I want Charles Barkley's role. I want his check. I want his check. The round
33 points in between the two of them. They are 13 of 25 from the floor. And on a night in which Herb Jones is out with an injury and they don't have Javon Quinterly, we just saw Jordan Bruner go to the locker room. Alabama up 61-45. You know, we touched on it, and just quickly, it's a good point. I've seen this from a few of the fans on social media. You know, the impact of the passing of Ben Jordan, we touched on this in the first half. Kid that last year came over and helped the basketball team out. He's on the baseball team. He passed away overnight. The team found out about it. And as John Calipari explained today, they were devastated. They were crushed by it. You know, and perhaps some of what we're seeing tonight is a reflection of the impact that the Ben Jordan passing had, because this is in no way a reflection of the way the team played on Saturday. And you do have to wonder, he was really close with some of the walk-ons last year as a walk-on player himself. He really enamored himself to the culture of Kentucky basketball, and you do wonder if that perhaps is playing a bit of a role tonight as well.
Well, it's certainly an emotional scenario, there's no doubt about it. Their play has not anywhere near the way they performed against Florida. In Florida, they had a great bounce to the step. They didn't turn the ball over. He's got 17 turnovers already with 7 minutes left in the game. Their high is 21 turnovers. You can't turn the ball over and get the kind of points off those turnovers that have given to this team and not defend.
Boston one-on-one, he's able to knock that shot down. Saw Petty drain a 3. He's got 20.
He's got ability, Boston. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of he's going to find himself and get himself some confidence, and that comes with success, and he hasn't had the kind of success that he had on the scholastic level.
How about Shackelford? He drew 3 Wildcat defenders and then just flipped it over his shoulder, and Reese knocked down a 3. They all make 3s.
Reese has really been a big plus for them coming off that bench after the injury to Jones. Really has been a big plus for them.
Just look at the box score. Bruner, Jones, both with 2 threes, 4 threes for Petty, 2 each for Reese and Shackelford. They're 13 of 29 from three-point land.
They do a great job getting back, stopping the ball, making them have to execute.
Askew, a 3-point play, could be 4, so shoot a free throw.
He's got a nice stroke right there, squared his body really well, got a good look, caught it, knocked it down. They're going to be up and down team. They're going to be a team I really believe this year, Carl, on the growing stage. They're going to shock some people. They're going to shock some people where people say, wow, like we did against Florida. And then they're going to look like a team that really is like, what is that? They got to be mediocre at best. They're going to be up and down. Today, the game has really gone to the veteran players. Having veteran players, people that really understand how to play. Too many kids come on the collegiate level, have no clue what a good shot is, have no clue how to play great team defense, and it really takes them a while to learn that.
Askew stole it, but it was out of bounds. It's a good point because you think about Keon Brooks, and one of the things Cal said today about Brooks, he is so much stronger. He is so much more patient on the floor. You know, obviously this is not his freshman year. He's back as a sophomore. I said, do you tell every one of those freshmen, if you come back, you're going to be a better player? And again, that falls back on the shoulders of the individual player to determine whether they want to come back or not. But sure, you're exactly right. The teams that have maturity are the better teams in college basketball.
Well, take a look right now. We mentioned Gonzaga, we mentioned Baylor. You talk about Villanova, you talk about all the quality teams. They got a veteran cast, and then they surround them, you know, with, that's what so shocked me today when I look at Wisconsin getting pummeled like they did. I mean, they were pummeled big time as the Zags right now going to take on the Waves, and they got a great freshman, but he could fit right in because they got Kispert and Timmy, and those guys. Suggs is certainly just, you know, he's a great player, but he fits in perfectly. Doesn't have all the pressure on him as kids like Clarke and Boston had from the moment they arrived on the campus in Lexington.
Tipped in by Isaiah Jackson.
He's been quiet.
Both Ravitch boys, Sticky V. Both Ravitch, you're a big Notre Dame guy. Both Ravitch boys, Pepperdine Waves.
Yeah, I heard they went to Pepperdine, yeah. Beautiful campus. Man, to see that, all the stars on the, I'd be out there like a guy as a groupie chasing all those stars, trying to get autographs and pictures.
Rolling around the hills of Malibu, California. That's Vital out there.
Got no Waves out there in Notre Dame, I can tell you that. But they just got themselves a great, not a good, a great assistant. Mr. Freeman coming over as the defensive coordinator. He'll be a head coach in about 3-4 years. 68-55. Oh, look at that. Where'd you get that photo? My man, Scott Matthews on the hut. Mr. Sinatra. You know what happened? Silverdome. We were at the Silverdome, had an office there before I got fired by the Pistons. And he was down there with his crew rehearsing. And man, I found out they had a concert coming that night. I went with my wife, I worked it out, get a shirt and basketball. He had no clue who I am. He looked at me, who is the screwball coming up to me? But I tell you this, I had the picture with the chairman of the board, Mr. Sinatra.
That's a great picture, Dickie V. Our game's down to 12 with 4:45 to go.
Well, they got a chance here now. Kentucky to get into a half-court trap. If they can come with some stops, Kelly get to the goal.
Petty, a blow by and a chance for a three-point play. He went right by Boston and took the contact and knocked in his 22nd point.
How many times have we seen that? The ability to take a guy one-on-one. You got to stay in front of him, man. You got to play some defense. That's what I mean. Young kids, and they better play defense like that. In high school, you can get away with that. Not getting away with it on this level. You got to guard people. You put your team in big trouble right there, allowing that kind of penetration.
That's a veteran senior in Petty against the freshman Brandon Boston.
And these guys will label lottery picks before they arrive in Lexington. I mean, come on now. You got to start playing. You got to earn that reputation. Now it's the big time. They're playing players with really skills, quickness, and ability as well. He was a star, went out to Sierra Canyon, played out there on that great high school team with LeBron's son. And everybody raved about him, Carl. I mean, and still, the kid's a young kid. He's got a chance to be special because you can't come out with the reputation he did and not be able to play. It's just a matter of finding himself and being patient. And his patience is going to come at the end of the year when he makes a decision about staying in school. There's no doubt he should stay in school and do what a guy like Quickly did. P.J. Washington, they stayed in school. They elevated their game big time.
There he is against fellow freshman Primo, and he has to pull up his dribble.
Yep, because Primo stayed in front of him. Primo stayed in front of him, and he'll let him make the turn.
Allen missed a three. They needed that to go. Toppin picks it up. He'll go in, lay it up and in, and a foul.
I'll tell you one thing I love about him. Plays with great tenacity. Plays hard, athletic. Can't teach all the athletic ability he possesses. And this is a year he's going to get better and better, this kid. This kid is going to be a very good player next year. You mark my words, Carl. He's going to be a very good player. He wants to be a player.
Younger brother of Obi Toppin, Jacob Toppin, shooting for his 6th point of the night.
Coming out here with the New York Knickerbockers. So it's
good team this year. A little better team this year.
Still got a long way to go.
Well, Randall was a pro, though, the former Wildcat. Been great.
He's been terrific. Yeah, so is Barrett.
Primo, one hand, gets it to go, and a pretty layup for Joshua Primo.
But that should be happening like this so often, Carl. Getting just beat one-on-one to the goal, spreading the court and nobody rotating over, but you can't get beat initially. You got to play that guy one-on-one, stay in front of him. Wow.
Crimson Tide, baby.
This, Carl. Tremendous finish. Alabama.
A lot of positives for the Alabama Crimson Tide this evening as ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. They're doing it without 3 of their stars. Javon Quinterly didn't play tonight because he's been sick. Herb Jones left in the first half with what appeared to be a finger or hand injury, and he has not returned. Jordan Bruner in the second half hobbled off what appeared to be an ankle, but he was looking more at his right knee when he was on the sideline and again was being helped off. No update from Alabama on Bruner's condition. So they're playing ultimately the second half without 3 of their starters, and Kentucky has not had an answer for them on the defensive end. The Alabama offensive players have driven by them at will.
You got to be able to go one-on-one, take them to the goal, and if they do get stopped, kick it up to open threes. Hey, you know, they got some good wins, though. They beat Tennessee, as you said earlier, Florida. They beat Auburn. They beat Mississippi. Mississippi gave a real battle today with Florida. Gators pulled it out at the end. And they beat Providence. Providence is a good basketball team from out of the Big East. Their losses, the one that stands out to me is they got beat by 18 by Stanford. Stanford, Zaire Williams is a tremendous diaper dandy, and he played with Boston in high school. And I'm telling you, Boston is going to be a player. He's just too talented. People got to be patient, and he's got to be patient. And he's got to listen to Coach Calipari, do what he says, and he will be fine because the kid's got skills. He's got things you can't teach. Then you talk about the losses. Lost to Clemson, who's very good. Clemson's having a big year this year. And they lost by 2. The one they'd like to have back is against Western Kentucky, who beat them at the end of the game. And they got a tremendous big guy named Bassie, who's really good down here at Western Kentucky.
Reese fouls out, so he's done
Great
for the
balance
night.
Big balance. They got 4 guys averaging better than 12 points a game. So they got great balance on the team. Very difficult to really plan on stopping those kind of teams because you can't zero in on any one guy. What disappoints me is having seen Kentucky play Saturday and watching them today, it's night and day, a different team. Night and day. The effort, sharing the ball, defending, and as you said so well, Carl, their defensive game tonight has been so subpar. And then you top that off, turn it over close to 20 times. I don't have the stats right in front of me right now. It was 17, like with 7 minutes to go. It's got to be close to 20. Trap right there to reverse the ball.
Yeah, a little
Gotta
bit of
get the ball
pressure
away
to
from the
fly.
trap.
That's going to be a jump ball. It'll be Kentucky basketball.
I want to give a tip of the hat tonight also to Oklahoma State. Cade Cunningham and the kids with a big win over Kansas. And I'm saying to the NCAA, they're appealing the 1 year where they can't play in the tournament. And I hope they win that appeal because these kids have done nothing, Carl. Nothing. They were not part of that. The penalty was right. They penalized, and I agreed with all the other parts of the penalty. They gave a 10-year show to Lamont Evans, who took money from an agent to try and talk about giving players, all that jazz. Bottom line is, they give them a 10-year show cause. That's fine. They find them. That's fine. But to say they can't play in the tournament, these innocent kids and coaches, that's a no-no. No way do you penalize innocent people for the actions of people that are not even there who you penalized. They penalized them. Why are you going to penalize these? Do you agree or disagree? Come on, tell me.
I would agree with you.
Oh, thank you.
I would agree. I always struggle with the idea that the program gets punished and the kids that are in the program had nothing to do with the punishment. Nothing to do with the crime. But what other way is there to punish the team?
Well, they punished him already, though, Carl. They punished by giving the coach what he deserved because he had admitted, I guess, and he's part of that whole scenario. They gave him a 10-year show because they fined the school, they took money, but why then go a step further and do what they did is beyond me. I think they should win that appeal. There's another 3-ball, Mr. Ravage. Alabama's for real, not just in football. The way they're playing tonight, football's going to be secondary to the hoops. Come on, It's becoming a basketball school.
Nick Saban, move over. Here's Nate Oates.
I love Nick Saban. I can tell you there's a home I don't embarrass him. Came to my gala one year and his beautiful wife, Terry, and their generosity, what they gave us as a donation, was unbelievable. And then he followed up last year. I get a letter and a note and a check, another big donation. Mr. Saban never forgot where he came from. He likes helping kids, he likes helping people, and we love him at the V Foundation. 7 national titles, not bad either.
Nope, that allows you to write a check because your wallet can go where your heart wants to take it, which is a really nice thing to do.
You know, when you think about that place too, guy that won a few there was pretty good too by the name of Paul Bright, known as the Bear.
Yeah.
It's been a real good win here. If they're going to win this basketball game unless you got a scoop.
I don't, because they keep making shots. The shot percentage is almost 50% here in this half. They're shooting 50 now, 14 for 28. They are 50% from the field in the second half.
Nice drive right there by Jackson. But you know what? They're wide open threes. I mean, they're not contested at all. They're not contested. Kentucky's got to go back to the classroom and really work on the fundamentals of the game of basketball defensively. And I know one thing, that coaching staff can teach. When you talk about those guys on that staff, they understand what it takes to win. Starting with their leader, Mr. Calipari. The players got to buy into it. They got to buy into it and believe it. Because really, it's a disappointing staff. These guys work like you cannot believe. They eat, sleep, and drink the game.
Saturday's going to be interesting. We thought this was going to be competitive the way they played over the weekend. Saturday they go to Auburn, and they're going to deal with an Auburn team that's got Sharif Cooper. You know how Pearl's team plays, very similar to this Alabama team. They'll hoist 100 threes, and Cooper now changes the entire complexion. That's why when you look at a Alabama victory over Auburn, it's a different win because of Cooper being there. Nice hustle by Jackson.
You're right about that, because Cooper's a rare ability. Came in as a 5-star recruit, finally got cleared by the NCAA to play, and you know they're watching right now. They're going to open up the court, put the ball in his hands, and say, Mr. Cooper, go to work, my friend. And they're going to have to find somebody that can stay in front of him. You might have to be thinking a lot of zone. I mean that. Until they learn how to really play that, man.
Really good hustle from Isaiah Jackson in a 15-point game with 2 minutes to go. Third option was the travel. Dick, they're on the number. This is they've taken 30 threes.
30 threes, over the button to fly. Nothing but nylon. Nothing but nylon. Wide open threes. Let me have another. Up and away. There they go. NBA, nothing but nylon. Those threes have changed the complexion of a game quickly, will they not, Carl?
You're not kidding. 14 of them they've made. They shot 46% from three-point land. 46%. Turnovers different. They just look like a better, more mature, more physical, more prepared team tonight.
Well, offensively, they had a game plan. They executed. They were efficient. And Kentucky had no answer for it.
Toppin too strong, and another rebound and a foul on Boston.
I'm rooting for Boston. I want to see Boston really become the player. People have told me, coaches, how good he can be. He's got a long way to go. Yeah, he's young in his career. He's got to listen to Coach Calipari, and he'll get there.
So, you know, in the last minute, you mentioned, and I think most people agree, if you could have a team get older, they get better, obviously. Kentucky's made a living with 5-star freshmen, one-and-done guys.
But they're different. Carl, they're different one and done. You're talking about Anthony Davis, Gilchrist, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Karl Anthony Towns. They're very, you don't find those every day. It's like Duke with Zion Williamson and those companies. That's a different breed. These kids come in, they're very good players. They're highly rated, but they're just not that same level. And that's where I think he spoiled a lot of people down in Kentucky with the kind of greats he brought in. You need some veterans, Carl. You need guys to be there a few years.
I would agree. So how many do you expect then of this group to stay and play next year?
It's very difficult because you don't know what they're getting their ears filled with. And, you know, the dollars that are involved. We don't know the finances all the way. You become a first-round draft choice, you're looking at a lot of money. A lot of money. And for some of these kids, it's, you know, means a whole lot. Come from homes, many of them, where the grandmothers raising some of them, and it's really difficult. So I feel for those kids having to make that decision. Is it the right decision for many of them to come back? Absolutely, if it's basketball-wise.
Nate Oates, Alabama Crimson Tide are going to move to 5-0 in conference, have a 6-game win streak, and have now beaten Tennessee, Florida, Auburn with Sharif Cooper, and Kentucky at Rupp Arena. That's a heck of a start to the college basketball season for Alabama and Nate Oates. Arkansas, Nate Oates, a really good team.
Arkansas and LSU will not be easy, that's for sure. I mean, Arkansas, Musselman's got a bunch of scrappy, hustling kids. LSU's as talented as can be. You talk about Watford and Thomas and company. So again, those will be challenges. And a lot's going to depend now, Carl, with them, is the status physically of the players that were injured.
No doubt. They'll get Quinterly back eventually. They hope like heck to get Bruner and Herb Jones back. Two huge contributors.
Carl will leave this as the close up with a great performance by Alabama. You know, combines with the great performance last night by the football team and New York Jets. Listen, New York Jets, draft Devontae Smith and keep Sam Darnold. I'm telling you, get Smith. He'll electrify the people in the New York area big time and help you win. Forget about all that wisdom you don't draft. He's not a normal wide receiver. I'd love to see him in a Bucs uniform with Brady throwing him, I'll tell you that.
Nate Oates in a 20-point game said, I called the timeout. They didn't give it to him. I think the game is pretty well in hand with 6.6 to go, unless you know something I don't, Dickie.
Come on, Nate, enjoy it. You got a beautiful W. It'll be a nice trip back to Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban should meet him at the airport. Nick Saban should meet him at the airport. Come on, Nick. You gotta meet these kids. Give them a hug. Congratulate them. Put a squeeze around Oates.
Dickie V, terrific jobs. Pleasure to be with you. We'll see you again next week. First win at Rupp since '06. Alabama, 85-65. For Mr. Vitale, Scott Matthews, our producer, Mike Ireland, our director. I'm Carl Ravitch, Sports Center, and Scott Van Pelt, ready to go.